Hello everyone, my name is Yeremia Eklesia Karno Misi, and now I will present my data here. So I got this data from using the Google form. I got 50 data, exact 50. And now I'm going to show you my code here. I guess it's a little bit long. It takes 172 lines here, and then I will explain from the start. So this one, I read the data and I call for the variable. Okay, let me run my code like this. Okay. Okay. So this, as you can see here, I'm looking for the average spending or my data. I group them by the guilty. As you can see here, the guilty is whether yes or no. So I just group them. Then I look for the mean from the each variable. The variable I'm using now is spending, so I'm using mean, sum, median, quantile, minimum, and maximum. Okay, next. Then I just repeat the same thing here in this one. I search for the mean, sum, median, quantile, minimum, and maximum, but in a different variable. If this one is spending, their regular spending, then this is their spending time, so non-academic things. I do that. I did again. I repeat this for the focus, their focus rate. I put a mean, sum, etc., etc., and we come here. It's the pie chart now. So as we can see from the pie chart here, the majority of them says no, they are not feeling guilty. And actually it's not majority of them, it's like a half and quite a slight that they are saying no, and the rest is yes. So as we can see from here, a lot of people doesn't feel regret or guilty after they're using their phone for a very long time. And next, we're going to see the histogram of their average spending. So as we can see here, the people, around 25 people use their phones from like 1 to 2 hours, maybe under 3 hours, and then from 10 to 15 people they use their phone for maybe 6 to 7 hours, and this one is the maximum, I think, because 5 to 10 people use their phone more than 20 hours a day. And this one is the non-academic spending. So less than 5 people spend their times around 27 hours for non-academic. Wow, this is a very big time to spend on your gadget for non-academic things, and the more time they spend is the less people. So 5 to 10 people spend their time on maybe 16 hours a day, and 10 to 15 people spend their times on maybe 4 hours a day. And this is a slide data here that shows that 25 to 30 people who spends their non-academic to spend their gadget for non-academic things for only for 1 hours. And this one is their focus rate. So this is the rate and this is the frequency, the people. So around maybe 3 or 4 people rate their focus is from 1 to 10 is 2, only 2. And as we can see here, the majority of them vote the 8. So I think they are still thinking that even though they use their smartphone for a long time, they still feel focused in their class. Okay, so we can next this is their productivity rate. So this is the rate and this is the people. So around like maybe 10 people or 11 people maybe rate their productivity as maybe 6.5 is the majority of them, and some of them still rate their productivity like around 8 or 9, because I think it has no correlation between productivity and your smartphone usage, your gadget usage, I mean, because in your gadget you can actually boost your productivity by doing something like maybe honing your hobby, or maybe you learn some soft skill in your gadget, and it's outside of your academical things, but it still benefits. And there's a lot of people too who feels their productivity is low, around 2, when they're using their smartphone, and I think because they are using their smartphone for something that not benefit themselves. Okay, so next is here, the scatter plot. Okay, as we can see here from the scatter plot, this analysis suggests that there is little, I think, or maybe no, direct or significant linear relationship between the average spending on their gadget and their productivity level. As we can see here, the line and the scatter plot is very scattered. Other factors might be influential in determining the productivity or the relationship. So next, this one. Okay, so this one, I think we can see the slight positive trend might suggest that maybe students who spend more time on non-academic activity tend to maintain or slightly improve their focus in class, but I think the effect is weak. The high variability and wide confidence intervals suggests other factors maybe strongly influence focus level in class, and non-academic time alone does not explain much variation here. Okay, so next one is like this. Yeah, I think this one has a big correlation because as you can see the line here, it's going straight up. I think it's maybe still weak correlation, but there is a correlation because their productivity level and their focus in class. So when they're focused in class, their productivity level is going to rise. But when they're not focused in class, right here, their productivity level will going low. Okay, we can next. Oh, this one again. I think this is there's maybe very weak relationship. Their average spending versus their average spending on non-academic. So, the more they spend on their phone, and it has a bit with their spending on non-academic, because when we are using our phone, we're using it for mainly, I think, for non-academical things. Okay, so the next one is okay, here's the box plot. Okay, as we can see from the box plot here, the middle, it's not on the middle, I think. The red line, it represents the median time spent on the gadget, which appears to be around 10 hours a time. And I think from here we can see that most individual spends between here 7 or 13 of hours to spend on a gadget, with a median of 10. And as we can see here, a small numbers of individuals spends an unusually high amount of time right here, about 18, which might indicate overuse or a specific behavior pattern worth investigating. And this box plots highlights a variability in gadget use among individuals, with few extreme cases potentially skewing this data. Okay, so we're going next. Okay, so the next box plot is here. If we see on this box plot, I think most individuals spend between 4 to 8 hours a time on not academic activities, with a median maybe it's 5. Yeah, it's 5. And as we can see, the presence of the outlier here on the 30 hours suggests that maybe one person spends maybe a very large amount, but I think that is nonsense, because I asked for their average, so their average spending time on non-academic. So I think this data is not valid. I should delete this data. Okay, so next is this box plot. It's their focus, and I think there is a minimal variability here because it's concentrated in here, that implying a maybe relatively homogeneous of the focus level. And as we can see here, no extreme deviations or outliers such that the previous one. Okay, going to next. This is the box plot of productivity. I think it's quite the same. The people just think that they're feel productive even though they spend their time on phone, like so many times on phone. Yeah, it's a bit similar. And then this is the total spending. So if they're spending like here around 6 and 12 maybe in majority, and they feel a lot of guilty here, as you can see. And if they spend less time than the previous one, they feel less guilty. As we can see from here, the more time they spend, they can relatively get guilty. Okay, so we're going to next. Oh, and this one. Okay, let's see on this correlation matrix. We can see from the color scale here, dark blue here means positive correlation. And we're going to see on the average spending here, where average spending and average spending on non-academic. So as we can see here, maybe it's a kind of a correlation here between their spending on their non-academic spending, because the more time they spend here, and I think it affects this. Yes, and as we can see here, we can compare the focus in class here versus productivity level. So as the box plot shows earlier, the focus in class and productivity level is about the same, as we can see from the color here. And then we can interpret it as, I think the strongest relationship here is between the focus in class and their productivity level, which I mean is very positive correlates. And time spent on gadget or non-academic activities, I think does not appear to significantly impact focus or productivity. So next. This is us. The density plots for all numeric variables. So as we can see here, let's see on the average spending one, the red one. So the distribution is, I think it's slightly right skewed, and from this we can assume that most individuals spend a small amount of time, maybe 5 to 10 hours, with fewer individuals spending on a higher amount of time on average. And then we can see on the green plot here, this distribution I think is also on right skewed. The majority of the values are concentrated between 5 and 10 units, with the smaller numbers as tending up to 30 units. So it's kind of similar with the first one in red, and we're gonna see the blue one here, the focus in class. I think this one, the distribution is bimodal with 2 peaks, one around 6 and one around 8.5. This suggests 2 distinct group individuals with moderate focus and others with higher focus level. And the range of focus levels appears broader compared to the time spending variables. And this one, the productivity level, or the purple one, is a little bit similar to focus in class. So the more focused they're in class, so their productivity is also productive. Okay, I think that's all for me. It's been the bottom of my code, and I think that's enough. Okay, thank you. That's for me.